What are student loans? Hello, everyone. Troy Thompson, Angel of Freedom here, the owner and founder of AOF Financial. And today I'm going to talk briefly about student loans. And I did a search for what are the most searched financial topics. And this is actually what came up as #1, which was interesting to me. So I figured, oh, what the heck, I'll spend a few minutes talking about student loans. So first, let's start with the obvious. What is a student loan? Well, a loan to help pay for education and training. Typically, that's associated with college. It wouldn't necessarily have to be. And so within the student loan realm, there are two main types, two main pathways. So there's federal and then there's private. So with the federal loans, typically you have fixed interest rates. So meaning that through the duration of the loan, the interest will remain the same. And typically the interest rate is lower than they would be with private loans. Typically with a federal student loan, the borrower is able to borrow without having someone else to co-sign for them. The repayments typically are going to start 6 months after the person leaves school or graduates, whatever the situation may be, or if they're attending less than half time, then they might be required to start making payments. And payments can be flexible. They can be based on income. So someone who's making $150,000 when they first graduate may be required to pay more than someone who's only making $50,000. They can do a certain percentage of the person's income and as far as calculating their loan payment. And it's also possible that some of the loan amount can be forgiven over time if a person works in certain areas, such as a teacher or underserved populations, public service. I personally benefited from this. So thankfully, I only had about $2,500 worth of student loans when I graduated in 1994. I don't know what that probably maybe it translates to 25,000 today. And but nevertheless, I was able to have it forgiven over a period of years through a combination of working as a registered nurse, being an active duty nurse first in the Army, then in the public health service, and working with populations such as the Indian Health Service and immigration. And so I was able to benefit from this loan forgiveness through my service as a registered nurse. Now, the other pathway would be a private loan. So it could be, private individual or private equity type group, or it could just be a bank, credit union, etc. And so with them, the loan could be fixed, same interest rate every year, or it could be a variable interest rate. Typically, interest rates probably be a little bit higher. Often a co-signer might be required as well. So a parent would be the most obvious person who would sign for their child getting a student loan. Then the question was, how do student loans work? And so to just provide a little more information, then I borrow $10,000 and there's interest accrued. Now with the federal loan, the interest is not accruing until I leave school, whatever form I stop going or I graduate, and so now I've left and I'm expected to be paying. The private loan, the interest can accrue during the training. So let's say I borrow $10,000, the interest can be stacking up every month and every year while I'm going to school. So that's another distinction to have an awareness of on a private loan. And then when I'm actually making my payments, it probably seems obvious to most people, but apparently not, since this is one of the most searched internet questions about finance, is a portion of my payment will go towards reducing the balance of the principal that I borrowed, but also a portion of my payment will be paying for the interest. So if I make a $100 payment, maybe $90 goes to reduce my principal and $10 goes to interest. It may not be exact numbers, but I'm just kind of giving an illustration here. Working with individuals that have student loans is not my personal area of expertise, but I know someone who is. So if this applies to your situation, it would be worth our time to have a conversation, and I can connect you with the who is an expert in student loans and strategize on how to pay those off. What's the most efficient way to do it? Should you consolidate them? How, negotiating different interest rates. There are many different variables that can come into play here. So if that's of interest to you, you can click my link in the description below for both scheduling a complimentary session with me. And also, if you want to know more information about me and my business, who I serve, how I help people, you can go to my website, aoffinancial.com. Thanks for watching.